Hey guys, what's up? I'm Chris, and in this video I'm going to talk about straight edge, what it is and how and why I went straight edge. So for those of you that don't know the term straight edge, it's a label that people give themselves that refrain from doing drugs and alcohol, from putting poisons like that into their body. And it originated in the hardcore scene back in the 1980s. When I was 14 years old, I heard the term straight edge for the first time, and I identified with it, and I became straight edge right there. I just took the term, I took the label, and I've been that way ever since. But it kind of originated a little bit earlier for me of how it came to be. So I guess the first memory I have of having this mentality would be probably when I was around 5 or 6 years old. I was in the car with my mom and dad. It was a hot summer day and we pulled into a gas station. My dad wanted to put gas in the car, and I said that, oh, I love the smell of gas. And my dad said, don't smell gas because it'll kill your brain cells and you'll never get them back. And immediately I didn't think that was funny. I was kind of scared about it, and I didn't want to lose my brain cells, so I put my shirt over my mouth, and anytime from then on in, whenever I would smell gas or fumes like that, I would try to leave the area or cover my face with something. And then around that same time, my little brother, who's about 2.5 years younger than me, we saw my dad flick a cigarette outside before he walked in the house, and it was still going. So I said, Pat, let's go check that cigarette out. And we walked over there, and if Dad does it, then we should do it. So we picked it up, and I'm like, here, you try it first. Something a big brother would do, right? But anyways, he tried it and started coughing. And when I saw him coughing like that, I didn't want to try it anymore. So I didn't. I feel bad about that. But yeah, that's what happened. And then a little bit later on in life, I was brought up Catholic, so I had to go to church all the time. I didn't like going to church all the time, but that's what my parents made me do. And whatever age you are when you make your first communion, I don't remember, 10, 11, 12, I don't know. But for those of you that aren't familiar with the Catholic Church and what communion is, it's when you go up and you take communion, which is symbolic of Jesus, and it's the bread, the body of Christ, which is a piece of bread wafer, and the blood of Christ, which is a sip of wine. And I was in line with all my other peers as they were going up to receive the communion, and I could see up ahead of me that the priest he had the glass of wine, or rather the cup of wine, and he drank out of it first, and then he wiped it off with a piece of cloth. And then he gave it to the first person, the next person, the next person. And I noticed they were all drinking out of the same cup. And he would just use that piece of cloth to wipe it off. So I guess I've pretty much always been a germ freak. I didn't like drinking out of the same glass as anybody. This really turned me off to wanting to try it. So I passed and I didn't drink it. I just took the bread. At that point in my life, I wasn't against trying alcohol or wine or anything like that. It just, at that particular moment, I was turned off to it just because of the germ part. So now my dad would drink a beer every night. That didn't really make me want to drink a beer, but my mom would drink a glass of wine on holidays. She rarely ever drank ever through the whole year, but on Christmas Eve, I remember she would pour some wine, and I asked what it was, and I wanted some, and she said, I'm too young, I can have some when I'm older. So that made me want it even more. So moving on, I'm in 6th or 7th grade, and I'm in health class. And the teacher had a slideshow going, and what she had up on the projector screen was a otherwise healthy liver. On a contrast to that, there was a damaged liver from cirrhosis, from many years of drinking alcohol. And then she showed us a good pair of human lungs and a damaged pair of human lungs from many years of smoking. And that pretty much did it for me, because I knew that it took a lot of alcohol for that cirrhosis to happen. But in my brain, I said, well, if alcohol in excess does that to you, I didn't want any alcohol in my body. I didn't want that to happen ever. And the same with smoke. But I never liked smoke. My dad has been a smoker all of my life and most of his. So he's been smoking around me for, since I was born. Times were different back then too. Like now, at least he goes out on the porch, even when I go to visit. But back in the day, it was, if we were in the car together, if we were in a room, if we were in a, you could smoke in buildings and stuff back then. But anyways, I hated smoke. I hated the smell of it. I hated breathing secondhand smoke. So I never wanted ever to smoke a cigarette. Also, I've always pretty much been, I guess, a health fanatic. I realize that this is the only body that, that I have. It's our bodies are the only bodies we'll ever have. And I wanted to keep it in the best condition as I could. And I hear people say, I'm sure you guys have heard it too, like people will say like, hey, we only have one life, live it the best you can, party up, that kind of thing. And, I'm not opposed to like having fun in life and stuff like that, but, drinking and smoking and abusing your body like that because we're all going to die is just, it doesn't, to me, there's no logic there because, I realize we're all going to die, but I don't want to ruin my body in the process of living my life. I know what it's like to live in chronic pain. I had a very bad form of sciatica about 10 years ago, and I talk about that on the other channel, so some of you may be familiar with that. But I lived with it for 2 years, and it was constant pain every minute of every day. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is, I'm in my 30s, and I feel like I'm at the end of life. I feel like I'm in my 70s, and I don't like this. I can't live like this. I can't live my life like this. It's the quality is just so low. And I ended up getting that fixed, and it was the best decision I made at the time. But, I feel for people that have chronic pain, and it's no way to live a life. But, for people that it's totally preventable, and ruining your body to the point where you might have cirrhosis or lung cancer, or you're not able to breathe because you smoked all your life, or, you just ruined your body from just abusing it. It just didn't make any sense to me. I wanted to have the healthiest body that I could, and part of that is not doing drugs and alcohol. Now, the other thing is I never wanted to lose my state of mind. And I realized that when you drink alcohol and you get inebriated, you get drunk, you can't just not be drunk. You got to wait for those effects to wear off. And when you get high, you can't not be high. So I don't know what it's like. I've never been high. I've never been drunk. But I guess this goes back to the fact that I'm really, really claustrophobic. And when I get in a situation where I feel claustrophobic, the first thing I want to do is I want to get out of that situation and, be in open space, I guess. And I feel like if I ever got in a position that I didn't want to be in, like getting drunk or getting high, and I wanted to get out of that situation, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to wait for those effects to wear off, and that's something that I just wasn't willing to do. I don't want to ever lose my state of mind. I want to be sharp up here and not make stupid judgments or anything like that. I've seen people do it. I don't know if it's the same with everybody, but I've had friends do all of that. And I guess while I'm saying this, I don't want people to think, because I have had this question come up, in no way, shape, or form am I ever judging other people that drink or do drugs or anything like that. In fact, I only have probably less than a handful of friends that are straight edge, like myself. Most of my friends and all of my family are not straight edge, and I don't judge them, and I still associate with them, and I still hang out with them, and all that good stuff. Being straight edge is not anything that I look down on anybody for not being straight edge or anything like that. I've seen people do that, and it's just not the way I want to go about it. And so I really don't care what other people do with their body. If they want to drink, then they're free to drink. And I still hang out with people that do all that. And a lot of people don't even know that I'm straight edge. It's a term that I don't feel like an overwhelming amount of people know. Some people have heard it. Some people ask me about it. But most people haven't really heard it. So I don't even really go around telling people I'm straight edge. If somebody knows what straight edge is, then yeah, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm straight edge. Because that basically just tells them I don't do drugs, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't need to explain any of that anymore to them. But for the most part, if somebody asks me if I want to drink, I'm like, oh no, I'm good. And if they keep asking, I'll be like, no, I don't drink, or no, I don't do drugs. But I have friends that do that. But I will say that if somebody that I'm hanging out with decides they want to start doing drugs or start smoking or anything like that, then I will remove myself from the situation. Like I won't tell them not to do it in front of me. I will just leave the situation. I'll go somewhere else until they're done. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to smell secondhand smoke. I don't want any kind of contact, anything. I'm very adamant about what I do with my body, but I don't care what other people do with their body. That's completely up to them, with the exception of veganism. Like I don't ever tell anybody what to do. With veganism, I guess I care to a point because there's a victim involved there, and I talk about that in another video, but that's the only time I really care what somebody else is doing with their body when they're consuming something like that. Other than that, it doesn't matter to me if somebody's a junk food vegan and eating, crappy food. I don't care if that's everybody else has their choice, their free will to do what they want, as long as they're not harming other people. Same here. So to recap, I took the label straight edge when I was 14. I still consider myself straight edge. I'm always going to be straight edge. I don't have any plans to not be straight edge. I guess I've pretty much always been straight edge, but I didn't really know what it was until I was 14. But yeah, I've never done any kind of drugs or anything like that. So I hope that answers your questions about straight edge, and if I missed anything, if you guys want to know anything more, to explain anything more clear, let me know in the comments below. And also, I'm going to do more videos like this where I can take one topic and just talk about it rather than have it spread out through a 2 or 3 hour video that I do live. So if you guys like these, let me know. Give me some suggestions of what else you want to hear me talk about in the comments below. I just want to say I have these new beanies. Vegan Zombie beanies. I will link those below. You can support my channel by taking one of these. This one right here I feel is my favorite one. It's really comfortable, but I also have this one. It's a little tighter than this one. I have a lot of hair, so this might be better for somebody with a lot of hair, and this one would be one for somebody with no hair or a smaller head. And this one is another one that's comfortable for like more hair. It's a little bit bigger and baggier. It's really comfortable, and I really like this one too. But they're all pretty cool, and I will link it below. If you guys like the video, give me the thumbs up. That'll help me out. And if you're not already, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.